My family lied and threw a secret Christmas party with my ex-fiancée, so I showed up and exposed years of betrayal they never thought I'd uncover. My family lied and threw a secret Christmas party with my ex-fiancée, so I showed up and exposed years of betrayal they never thought I'd uncover. I'm Jake, 29, working as an EMT in Minnesota. It's not the most glamorous job, but I save lives, and it pays the bills. I'm not trying to sound like a hero or anything, I'm just stating facts. For 3 years, I was with Olivia, a marketing executive who I thought was the one. We were engaged, and everything seemed good until it wasn't. About 8 months ago, Olivia dropped this bomb on me. I don't think this is working anymore. When I pressed her for reasons, she dodged the question for about an hour. After a few shots, she finally admitted the truth. I just don't see myself with someone who's, an EMT forever. I thought you'd go to med school eventually. My friends are all with doctors and lawyers and I'm with, well, you. That hurt, not going to lie. I had been thinking about paramedic school, which would bump my pay, but med school was never on the table. I told her that from day one, but whatever. People want what they want, right? Here's where it gets twisted. My family, my older brother Ethan, the golden child, an investment banker, my younger sister Chloe, daddy's precious princess, and my parents, all acted super supportive. She wasn't good enough for you anyway, Jake. You're better off without her, son, they said. They even encouraged me to break up with her before she could end things. My dad gave me this whole speech about being the man and ending it on my terms. So I did. I officially broke things off and moved out of our apartment. It sucked moving back to my old room at my buddy's place, but at least I had my dignity, right? That's what I thought. In the weeks after the breakup, little things started to feel off. I'd mention Olivia in passing, like how I still had to transfer her name off the apartment lease, and my mom's voice would go weird, kind of strained, like she didn't know what to say. One time Chloe joked, well, Liv's always been good at landing on her feet, but when I asked what she meant, she changed the subject real fast. I didn't give it much thought, and for months after I continued sending my parents $500 a month to help with my dad's medical bills. He has diabetes and refuses to manage it properly, always eating whatever he wants and skipping appointments. The works. I'd watch Chloe's kid, Riley, twice a week so she could have a social life as a single mom. The kid's 4 and pretty cool, actually. It's not his fault his mom's a piece of work. I even helped Ethan move into his fancy new condo downtown, taking 2 days off work to pack and haul his stuff while he was too busy closing deals. My back was sore for a week after that, but that moving day left more than just sore muscles. When we finally finished, Ethan ordered takeout for everyone, his treat, or so I thought. We were all sitting around his sleek kitchen island, me, Ethan, Chloe, and a couple of his friends from work. That's when one of his friends joked, "Hey Jake, do you get a discount on an ambulance ride if we pass out from all these drinks?" I laughed it off, but Ethan didn't. He leaned back in his stupid designer chair and said, "Nah, Jake's just the guy who drives the truck. You need a real doctor for discounts. Maybe in his next life, right, bro?" It was a joke, but it wasn't. Everyone laughed, except me. Chloe giggled the hardest. Like it was hilarious that her brother saves lives but isn't successful enough. I wanted to say something, but what was the point? It would just make me look sensitive. So I swallowed it, smiled, and let it go. But I didn't forget. It wasn't the first time Ethan had made me feel like the family charity case, but it was the first time it really stung. Like I wasn't just the EMT brother, but the lesser brother, the one who drives the truck. Still, I kept being the good son, the reliable brother, the helpful uncle, just like I'd always been since I was a kid. And it's always been this way, you know? When we were growing up, Ethan got the new clothes, I got his hand-me-downs, Chloe got dance lessons and gymnastics. I got told sports were too expensive after Ethan's baseball equipment ate up the budget. When I got an award in high school for a science project, my parents skipped the ceremony because Ethan had a college interview. They've got all these framed photos of Ethan in his suit at his graduation, each one on proud display. When I graduated, the only picture of me anyone bothered to hang up was from a family vacation when I was 12. There was one moment that always stuck with me from senior year. I got nominated for a statewide EMT scholarship. It was a big deal. Only 5 people in Minnesota were chosen for final interviews. My parents promised they'd come with me to show their support, but the night before, Ethan called his firm about a networking gala, and he needed mom and dad there. I ended up going to that interview alone, and didn't even get a good luck text from them. I found out later that they spent the night rubbing shoulders and gushing about Ethan's promotion to junior analyst. When I brought it up, Dad just said, "We have to prioritize Jake." I guess their priorities never included me, but I kept telling myself that's just how family is. Not everyone gets the spotlight equally, and honestly, I was okay being the steady, reliable one, the one people could count on. I thought that counted for something. Last Christmas, my mom texted me, "Jake, honey, we're canceling Christmas dinner this year. Your father's medical bills have piled up, and we just can't swing it. We'll do something small in January to make up for it. Love you." I immediately felt bad. The holidays are Mom's favorite time. She goes all out with decorations and cooking, like we're talking full-on Christmas explosion in that house every year. Tree lights, those little village houses, full mode. I called her back and offered to pay for the whole thing, even hosting it at my place. "It's not big, but we could make it work." No, it's fine. We'll just have a quiet Christmas this year," she said. She sounded weird on the phone, distracted. A few weeks before Christmas, I got a random text from Chloe. "We're still good for Thursday night, right? Bring the snacks." That was it. When I asked her about it, she brushed it off and said it was meant for a friend. Weird, but I didn't think much of it. Later, though, I kept wondering about that Thursday night and why she asked me to bring snacks when we weren't planning any get-togethers. I shrugged it off, but it stuck in my head, a little offbeat note in an otherwise predictable song. On Christmas Eve, I decided to swing by anyway with some gifts, and maybe take out. I figured at minimum, I could drop off presents and bring them some Chinese food or something. My parents live in a modest house in the suburbs that I've been helping them keep up since my dad got sick. I mow their lawn in summer, shovel snow in winter, fix their leaky roof, last year, that kind of stuff. As I pulled onto their street, I noticed something weird. Cars lined up all along the curb, and not just any cars. Ethan's Tesla, which he's underwater on payments for but won't admit it. Chloe's Range Rover that her ex bought her. Another story for another time. My aunt and uncle's Audi. What the actual heck? I parked and walked up to the house slowly. This feeling of dread building in my stomach, like when you know you're about to see something you can't unsee. Through the big front window, I could see the dining room table set up with the fancy china they only use for holidays, the Christmas tree fully decked out, and people mingling with glasses in their hands. But that wasn't what made me stop cold. Standing in my family's living room, laughing and touching my brother's arm, was Olivia, my ex-fiancée. My sister was right beside her, showing her something on her phone, both of them giggling like best friends. For a second I thought I was hallucinating, like maybe I was having some kind of stress-induced breakdown. But nope, it was real. My ex, who dumped me for not being successful enough, was at my family's Christmas dinner that was supposedly canceled due to money problems. I must have stood there for a solid minute, trying to process this betrayal before I finally rang the doorbell. My mom answered, and her face went from festive cheer to panic in half a second. "Jake, what are you doing here?" she asked. "I thought Christmas was canceled," I said, my voice coming out all tight. "Money problems," I added, glancing over her shoulder. The party went quiet. I could see my dad looking uncomfortable, Chloe and Olivia whispering, and Ethan, the smug jerk, actually smirking at me, not even trying to hide it. My mom fumbled, "We managed to pull something small together last minute. Just family and a few friends." I looked directly at Olivia, who had the decency to look embarrassed. That's what we're calling her now. I could see my mom trying to think of how to spin this. She's always been good at rewriting reality to make the family look good, like the time she told everyone Ethan got a scholarship to his private high school, when really my grandparents paid for it, or how she tells people I just haven't found my path yet, instead of admitting I've been an EMT for 7 years and actually love my job. "Jake, honey, why don't you join us? There's plenty of food," she said, trying to smooth things over like this was just some minor misunderstanding and not a complete betrayal. I looked past her at the table full of people who supposedly couldn't afford Christmas dinner this year, the table I wasn't invited to. I could hear everyone talking in hushed voices. My aunt asking my uncle what was going on, my cousin already texting someone about the drama, Chloe moving closer to Olivia like she was protecting her from me or something, and Ethan just standing there with that stupid smirk, like he'd won some kind of prize. I've never felt so blindsided in my life. I knew my family didn't value me the same way they did Ethan or Chloe, But this was next level. They literally excluded me from Christmas dinner so they could set up my ex with my brother. Who does that? My mom was still standing there with this fake smile, holding the door open like I might still come in and play along with their little charade, like we could all just pretend this wasn't completely messed up. "Jake, come in. It's freezing out," she said like the temperature was the biggest problem here. I noticed she was wearing the earrings I got her for her birthday, the ones I spent 2 months saving for, and my dad was wearing the watch I fixed for him after he dropped it and broke it last year. I spent hours watching YouTube videos to figure out how to repair it myself because I knew he loved that watch. All these little reminders of how much I'd done for them, how much I cared, while they were plotting this whole time to stab me in the back. Part of me wanted to just turn around and leave, walk away with whatever dignity I had left. But another part of me, the part that was tired of being walked all over, pushed forward. I needed answers. I needed them to admit what they'd done. So I stepped inside, surrounded by the family that apparently didn't think I deserved to be included in their holiday. "Actually, I think I will come in," I said, watching my mom's fake smile falter as she realized this wasn't going to go the way she hoped. The smell of turkey and pie hit me as I walked in. All the traditional food Mom makes every year, food she supposedly couldn't afford to make this year. I could feel everyone's eyes on me as I walked into the dining room. Some looked guilty, some looked annoyed, but nobody looked surprised. They all knew. Every single one of them knew I'd been excluded deliberately. That's when I realized this probably wasn't the first time. How many other family gatherings had there been that I wasn't told about? How many times had they all gotten together without me, telling themselves it was okay because Jake wouldn't mind, or Jake's too busy? The thought made me feel sick. All these years I'd been busting my ass to be there for them, rearranging my schedule, picking up extra shifts to help them financially, and they'd been excluding me from their lives whenever it was convenient. And now they invited my ex, the woman who broke my heart, to Christmas dinner. Not just invited her, but set her up with my brother, my own blood. The room was dead silent now. You know that awkward silence in movies when someone crashes a party? It was exactly like that, except this was my family's house that I helped pay for. "Someone want to explain what the hell is going on?" I demanded. My dad tried to take control of the situation. "Now Jake, don't make a scene. We were going to tell you about this after the holidays." "Tell me what exactly? That you're hosting a Christmas dinner for everyone but me? That my ex-fiancée is apparently family now?" My aunt looked uncomfortable. At least my uncle was suddenly super interested in his mashed potatoes. My cousin was recording the whole thing on her phone because, of course she was. Ethan stepped forward, one arm possessively around Olivia's waist. "Look, bro, Liv and I connected at the gym a few weeks ago. It just happened. You guys were over anyway. A few weeks ago we broke up 8 months ago." Olivia looked down at her shoes. "Well, actually," and that's when it clicked. The way Ethan always asked about my relationship problems, how he suddenly started going to the same gym as Olivia around March, how my family pushed me to end things with her. I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. No one answered. My mom was looking at my dad was looking at the floor, Chloe was rolling her eyes. "How long?" I shouted. I never yell, so when I do, people pay attention. Chloe just rolled her eyes. "God, you're being so dramatic. They've been talking since last summer before you and I even broke up, but it's not like they did anything physical until after last summer when I was working double shifts to save for a bigger engagement ring." Olivia kept dropping hints that the one I gave her wasn't impressive enough while I was busting my ass helping accident victims and heart attack patients. Meanwhile, she was texting my brother, and my family knew. I looked at my parents, and you knew about this. My mom had the nerve to say, "Honey, we thought it would be better this way. Ethan and Olivia have so much more in common. They're both ambitious, and you know how you've always struggled with, well, finding your path. I've been an EMT for 7 years. I save lives every damn day. I've helped deliver babies, kept car crash victims alive until we reached the hospital, performed CPR on drowning kids, and brought them back. But because I don't wear a suit or make 6 figures, I'm struggling to find my path. So you excluded me from Christmas to set them up, to protect me from finding out we were going to have a small dinner with just you tomorrow." My dad said, "Just us, the leftovers, the afterthought, the consolation prize." Story of my life. My aunt tried to defuse the situation. "Jake, honey, why don't you grab a plate? There's plenty of food. Are you serious right now? You think I want to sit and eat with these people?" My backstabbing brother, My ex, who's apparently been cheating on me with him, and my family who lied to my face about all of it? Don't be so sensitive, Ethan said. It's not like you and Olivia were going to work out anyway. She needs someone who can provide the life she wants. And that's you. I laughed. Mr. Up to his eyeballs in debt? The guy who's one bad quarter away from losing his condo? Yeah, real provider material there, bro. Ethan's face went red. He hates when anyone mentions his financial situation isn't as solid as he pretends. That's enough, my dad said, but I was just getting started. No, I want to know. I want to know why my family decided I wasn't good enough to be included in Christmas, but my cheating ex-fiancée was. I want to know why you all lied to me. I want to know why, after everything I've done for this family, I'm still the one who gets kicked to the curb. I don't remember exactly what I said next, but I know I let loose years of resentment about how Ethan got a car for his 16th birthday while I got a used bike. How they went to every one of Chloe's dance recitals, but missed my EMT graduation because Ethan had a networking event they needed to attend. How I've been paying their bills and babysitting and helping out, while they've been plotting behind my back with the woman who dumped me for not being successful enough. It all came pouring out like I'd opened a fire hydrant. Years of feeling like the forgotten one, the afterthought, the backup plan, the one they only call when they need something fixed or paid for. Do you have any idea how many holidays and family events I've shown up to after working a 12-hour shift? How many times I've driven straight from dealing with actual life or death situations to be here for you people? I missed my best friend's wedding to be at Ethan's business school graduation. I used my vacation days to help Chloe move when her ex kicked her out. I refinanced my car to help with Dad's medical bills. And this is how you repay me? My mom started crying, which is her go-to move when she's losing an argument. We never meant to hurt you, Jake. You just thought I wouldn't find out, or that I'd forgive you anyway because I always do? Because good old reliable Jake never holds a grudge, right? Jake's too nice to cut off his family no matter what they do. Ethan, always the condescending prick, stepped up with that smirk still on his face. Dude, chill. It's not our fault Olivia realized she could do better. Some people are meant to be workers and some are meant to be leaders. You've always been a worker. Nothing wrong with that. Something in me snapped. I lunged at him, grabbed him by his pretentious cashmere sweater that I'm pretty sure is fake anyway, and shoved him against the wall. You entitled piece of... He tried to push me off, but those investment banking arms weren't doing much against someone who carries unconscious people out of burning buildings for a living. I wasn't really going to hurt him. I just wanted to wipe that smug look off his face. Get off me, you psycho! He yelled. My dad tried to pull us apart and got an elbow to the face for his trouble. Not from me. From the moment Ethan started flailing around like a toddler having a tantrum, things really exploded. My dad, clutching his bloody nose, turned on Ethan. What the hell is wrong with you? You hit me over this? Ethan, always Daddy's favorite, looked shocked. It was an accident. Jake attacked me. But my dad wasn't having it. For the first time in my life, he actually looked at the situation clearly. You've been seeing your brother's fiancée behind his back? After all Jake's done for this family? I was as surprised as anyone. My dad never takes my side. Like, literally, never. When we were kids and Ethan broke my stuff, it was always, Jake, don't leave your things where they can get broken. When Ethan got the car and I got nothing, it was, Jake, your brother needs reliable transportation for his internship. You can take the bus. My mom jumped in, always ready to defend her precious firstborn. Don't act like you didn't know, Robert. We all agreed this was for the best. Ethan and Olivia are perfect for each other. Just like that, 30 years of marriage imploded right in front of the Christmas tree. My parents started screaming at each other. Apparently, my dad had only gone along with this whole setup reluctantly, and now he was furious that my mom had orchestrated it all and made him complicit. I never wanted to lie to Jake. This was your idea, Margaret. Oh, now it's all my fault? You were fine with it last week when I suggested it. I was not fine with it. I said we should be honest with him. I backed away from the chaos. Everything suddenly crystal clear. The yelling continued with my aunt trying to be a peacemaker, and my uncle looking like he wanted to be literally anywhere else. My cousin was still recording everything on her phone, probably already thinking about all the likes she'd get on social media. Olivia stood awkwardly to the side, looking like she regretted all her life choices. Good, she should. Chloe, of course, was making it all about her. Great, now Christmas is ruined. Thanks a lot, Jake. Typical. I'm not the one who lied, cheated, or excluded anyone from Christmas dinner, but somehow, I'm the bad guy for reacting to it. I just stood there, watching it all unfold, feeling weirdly detached, like I was watching a movie about someone else's dysfunctional family. My aunt tried to salvage the situation. Maybe we should all just sit down and have dinner. Everything seems worse on an empty stomach. Classic Aunt Linda, thinking food can solve any problem. This wasn't a problem that mashed potatoes and turkey could fix. My dad grabbed his coat from the rack by the door. I'm not staying here. This whole thing was a mistake from the start. My mom looked shocked. Where do you think you're going? Out. I need some air. It's Christmas Eve. I'm well aware of what day it is, Margaret. I'm also aware that we just destroyed any relationship we had with our son, and you don't even seem to care. He looked at me then, really looked at me for what felt like the first time in years. Jake, I'm sorry. I should have put a stop to this from the beginning. Too little, too late. But at least it was something. He walked out, slamming the door behind him. My mom stood there looking stunned, like she couldn't believe he'd actually left. Now look what you've done, she said to me. Because obviously, this was all my fault. Ethan, ever the opportunist, saw his chance to be the hero. I'll go after Dad. Make sure he's okay. Chloe joined in. I'll help you clean up, Mom. Jake clearly isn't going to stick around to help. Just like that, they were rewriting the narrative, making themselves the good, helpful children, while I was the troublemaker who ruined Christmas. It was so predictable I almost laughed. You're right, Chloe. I'm not sticking around, I said, looking at my mom. And I'm not coming back. Don't be ridiculous, she said. You're upset. I understand, but we're still family. No, we're not, I said quietly. Family doesn't do this to each other. I walked out, ignoring my mom calling after me, ignoring Olivia's tearful apology attempt, ignoring all of it. Outside, I saw my dad sitting in his car just staring straight ahead. For a second, I considered going to talk to him, but what was there to say? He might have stood up for me in the end, but he had still gone along with the whole thing until it blew up in his face. So I got in my car and drove away, leaving behind the wreckage of what I used to think was my family. When I got home, I turned my phone back on just long enough to send a text to my boss asking for some extra shifts over the holidays. Then I blocked everyone's numbers except my dad's. I wasn't ready to talk to him, but I wasn't ready to cut him off either. I spent Christmas Day working a double shift at the hospital. I helped save a kid who choked on a new toy, held an old woman's hand as she took her last breath, and cleaned up vomit, blood, and other bodily fluids. And you know what? It was still better than spending another minute with the people who were supposed to love me, but treated me like I was nothing. That night I went home to my shabby apartment and ordered Chinese food. I ate it on my couch while watching Die Hard, because it is a Christmas movie, fight me. For the first time in years, I didn't feel that constant pressure to be available to help or fix things for everyone else. It was just me, some takeout, and Bruce Willis. It was actually the best Christmas I'd had in a long time. The texts and calls kept coming over the next few days. I didn't read or listen to any of them. I wasn't ready to deal with the inevitable gaslighting and guilt trips. My dad did send one text that I read. I moved out, staying at the Marriott downtown for now. I'm sorry, son, truly. I didn't respond, but I didn't block him either. The next few weeks were chaotic. My parents separated, and my mom blamed me entirely. If you hadn't shown up unannounced, everything would be fine. Ethan and Olivia were officially dating now, and Chloe was spreading rumors that I had anger issues, and that's why Olivia left in the first place. The calls and texts started coming in a steady stream. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I made some calls of my own. To the mortgage company, canceling the automatic payment from my account. To my credit card company, removing my parents as authorized users. And to my lawyer, making sure my name was off any loans I'd been helping them pay. Then, I sent a group text. You can now kiss your personal ATM goodbye. Figure your own stuff out from now on. The reaction was nuclear. My phone blew up with calls and messages. You can't just abandon your family after everything we've done for you. I need that money for Riley's preschool. Your father's medical bills won't pay themselves. I must have gotten 50 messages in the first hour. I read them all, then blocked them, every single one. It was actually kind of liberating. Then the flying monkeys started coming out of the woodwork. My aunt called to tell me how disappointed she was in my behavior. My uncle texted saying I needed to be the bigger man. My cousin posted some vague Facebook status about how family is everything that was obviously directed at me. I blocked them too. 2 days later, Chloe showed up at my apartment with Riley, clearly thinking I wouldn't turn away my nephew. Using a 4-year-old as a shield was low, even for her. She said she needed me to watch Riley that weekend because she had a date with a guy who might be the one. I knelt down, handed Riley my phone to keep him busy, and turned to Chloe. I reminded her how, when I worked night shifts and asked for help moving, she claimed she was too exhausted from being a mom, but then posted club photos the same night. She rolled her eyes and brushed it off as just one time. I brought up how she dismissed my concerns about Olivia, telling me I was being paranoid, and then helped Olivia and Ethan hook up behind my back. She snapped that it wasn't fair, claiming they had a real connection. I kicked her out and told her not to use Riley as a prop again. It was disgusting. On her way out, she threw one last shot, calling me mentally unstable and saying she was worried about me. Classic Chloe. She'd been gaslighting me since we were kids, breaking my Xbox controller and blaming me for leaving it out, using my credit card without permission because I owed her, and telling Olivia about my insecurities, because it was just girl talk. The next day my dad called. I almost didn't answer but picked up anyway. He sounded tired, saying he wanted to apologize for Christmas and for everything. He admitted that he and my mom had separated and were filing for divorce. I knew about that before, but I was caught off guard when he said it. 30 years together. I never thought he'd actually leave. He said Christmas made him realize what he'd been ignoring for years. How my mom treated me, how she favored Ethan and Chloe, and how he'd gone along with it for too long because it was easier than fighting. He wasn't asking for forgiveness. He just wanted me to know he was trying to do better. Therapy. Figuring out how he ended up here. At least he was honest. He told me my mom was telling everyone I abandoned the family and cut her off financially out of spite. He said he corrected her, explaining that it wasn't spite but me setting boundaries. It surprised me that my dad stood up for me. It wasn't something I was used to. He apologized again, saying he hadn't been the father I deserved. I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to forgive him, but another part was still too raw. I told him I needed time, and he understood. He asked if we could get coffee when I was ready. Maybe, I said, but no promises. After we hung up, I sat on my couch thinking about everything. I wasn't ready to let any of them back into my life, but I decided not to block my dad's number. It wasn't much, but it was something. A month after Christmas, I received a registered letter from a lawyer. For a second I panicked, thinking my family was suing me or something crazy like that. But it turned out to be about my grandmother's estate. She had died 5 years ago and left me a small inheritance that I never knew about. Apparently my mom had been managing it for me. The lawyer had been hired by my dad as part of the divorce proceedings and discovered that my mom had been dipping into my inheritance to pay for things like Chloe's car and Ethan's business school. I was furious all over again. It wasn't a huge amount, about $155,000, but it was the principle of the thing. My grandmother had wanted me to have that money, and my mom had stolen it to give to my siblings. I called the lawyer and authorized him to recover what he could. Then I called my dad. "Did you know about Grandma's money?" I asked. "No," he said, and I believed him. "I only found out when we started splitting up the finances. Your mother had an account I didn't know about. When I pressured her, she admitted what it was. She stole from me, Dad. From her own son." "I'm so sorry, Jake," he said. "I've told her she needs to pay you back, but she doesn't think she did anything wrong." I finished for him because it's always been like this. What's mine is theirs, but what's theirs is theirs. "I'm afraid so," he admitted. "Run, but I'm going to make sure you get what's owed to you, even if it has to come out of my half of the divorce settlement." That actually made me tear up a little. It was the first time in my life I could remember my dad putting my needs before my siblings. "Thanks, Dad," I said. Maybe something good could come out of this whole mess. After all, it's been 4 months since the Christmas disaster. I moved to Colorado for a better-paying job with a rescue unit in the mountains. I bought a small cabin that needs work, but it's mine. I'm dating a veterinarian named Allie, who thinks what I do is badass, and proudly introduces me to her friends. My family's financial situation has apparently imploded without my support. My aunt, the only family member I haven't blocked, called to tell me that my mom had to downsize to an apartment. Ethan had to loan her money, which he was furious about. Chloe had to get a full-time job instead of the part-time gig she'd been working while I provided free childcare. Oh, and Olivia dumped Ethan after 3 months when she found out his investment banking job wasn't as prestigious or high-paying as he'd led her to believe. Turns out he's just a glorified account manager who lied about his income and position to impress her. The karma is real. Last month, Olivia showed up at my doorstep in Colorado. I had no idea how she found my address, probably through some mutual friend. She was in tears, mascara running down her face, looking nothing like the polished marketing exec who dumped me for not being successful enough. "Jake, I need to talk to you," she sniffled. "It's important." I was about to shut the door in her face when she blurted it out. "I'm pregnant, and I think it might be yours." I actually laughed in her face. "We broke up almost a year ago. Try again." "No, you don't understand," she said, now desperate. "I'm about 3 months along. I was going to tell Ethan it was his, but we only slept together twice, and I used protection both times. But you and I, that last night before we broke up." "Let me get this straight," I said, crossing my arms. "You cheated on me with my brother, dumped me because I wasn't successful enough, dated my brother, and now you're pregnant and want me to believe it's mine after 9 months? I know how it sounds." She was crying harder now, but I did the math. "And did you also do the math on how many guys you've slept with since me? Like your boss, maybe?" Her face went white. "How did you—" "Ethan called me last week, drunk off his ass. Seems he found some interesting texts between you and your boss. Quite detailed, from what he said. Something about a weekend in the Poconos 3 months ago, right around the time I found out I was pregnant." As soon as Olivia heard the news, she switched tactics. "Jake, please. Ethan broke up with me and now my boss won't acknowledge the baby. I need help. Child support, at least. Not my circus, not my monkeys," I thought, borrowing one of Allie's favorite phrases. "Good luck with the paternity test." I shut the door and went back inside, where Allie was waiting with 2 beers and a sympathetic smile. She had heard everything. "You okay?" she asked. "Never better," I replied, and I meant it. Allie is the complete opposite of Olivia. She's down to earth, laughs at dumb jokes, and genuinely thinks saving lives is more important than having a fancy job title. We met during my 2nd week in Colorado, when I brought in a dog I found hit by a car on my way home from a shift. She saved the dog, I got a date, and now the dog, who we named Lucky, lives with us. Oh yeah, we moved in together last month. It turns out that when you're not financially supporting your entire family, you can actually afford nice things for yourself. My crappy studio apartment and her 1-bedroom didn't make sense when we could combine resources and get the cabin we both wanted. Ethan texted me the next day after Olivia's surprise visit. "Thanks for the heads up about Olivia. Dodged a bullet there." I didn't respond. He might have been grateful for this one thing, but it didn't erase years of him treating me like crap. My dad is the only one I still talk to occasionally. He actually apologized for how things went down. He admitted he'd always favored Ethan because he reminded him of himself, and he'd taken me for granted because I never caused problems. Now he's trying to rebuild his life, managing his diabetes better, and working on his relationship with me. It's a start. My aunt keeps me updated even though I don't ask her to. Apparently my mom had to get a job as a receptionist at a dentist's office. Ethan moved back home after he couldn't make his condo payments when he lost his job. Chloe's struggling to balance full-time work and being a single mom without her free babysitter. Me. Part of me feels bad for them. They're still my family, and I don't wish them harm. But another part knows this is exactly what they needed. They needed to learn to stand on their own 2 feet instead of using me as a crutch. The inheritance situation got resolved too. My dad made sure I got all $115,000 plus interest as part of the divorce settlement. I used it to buy a better truck for the mountain roads out here. Every time I drive it, I think of my grandma and how she'd be happy I finally got what she wanted me to have. Looking back, my entire childhood was just preparation for being used and discarded. The middle child expected to help with everything but never complain, never need attention, and never ask for anything in return. And now I'm happy, actually, genuinely happy. If you're reading this and seeing your own life reflected back at you, if you're the reliable one, the forgotten one, the one who gives and gives while getting nothing in return, know that you deserve better. Sometimes, the family you're born into isn't the family you need. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away. I'm Jake, the forgotten son, the reliable brother, the helpful uncle, and for the first time in my life, I'm finally putting myself first. Allie and I are now engaged, with a ring she helped pick out because she's awesome like that. Still no contact with my mom, Ethan, or Chloe, but Dad's coming out to visit next month. Oh, and Olivia's baby daddy turned out to be her boss. The paternity test confirmed it, and her career is in shambles. She's moved back in with her parents. The best revenge really is living well.